Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Fueled with Prakhar. This is Prakhar. Kind of lame, but anyway. So this episode is all about tech and gaming. So if you're looking for a low to mid tier, somewhere around 60 to 65,000 rupee budget gaming machine slash video editing machine, this video might just be for you. But before starting with that, let me change the background a bit. This one is good, but a bit too fancy, so we're gonna have to change again, although it's very uncomfortable. Okay, this was very uncomfortable, so we're not gonna do that again. And I think this setup is fine, so let's just begin with it. But the t-shirt is not, so some more magic tricks. This one's fine, but I need a shirt too. Yeah, this is perfect. Now let's begin. Okay, so yeah, this one is a wider frame because for me to show you, before I show you the B-roll shots of the entire build process and the machine itself in its full glory, I first need to tell you the components that I've used, which I will talk about in later, but I first need to show you all of them. And for that, as we know from the legendary build video from The Verge, we first need something, which is, let me guess.
What do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table.
Oh, that's right. We need a table. So, why did this not work? Hold on. Yep, we got one.
CPU. Yeah, we've got one.
Okay, now let me get the stuff right onto the table and then we can start. And this is the stuff. Okay, so I don't have all the boxes for everything right now. For example, the Corsair Carbide Spec 05 cabinet that I use, that box is not here. But anyway, all the main stuff is here. This is the processor choice. This is the Ryzen 7 2700X. I got it for 20,000 rupees, which is very, very reasonable considering it's an 8-core, 16-thread processor. I've gone for the second gen because it was fulfilling my needs really, really well, because video editing on this thing is going to be better than a Ryzen 5 3600X, is what I believe, because it's got more cores and more threads. For the SMPS, the power supply, I've gone with an Antec Atom V450. Again, not much. This is the motherboard of choice. This is the MSI M Pro M2 Max B450. It's AMD Ryzen 3000 ready, but I've got a 2000. And the only two problems with this one is got just one fan header, so I've got a fan header hub so that I can have 4, and that it only has 2 memory slots. For the graphic card, I've got this. This is the Gigabyte GTX 1650 Super. This is the OC edition. It's 4 gigabytes, but I think it fulfills my needs more than enough. I play casual gaming, so you know, all the NFS titles, The Hot Pursuit, Online one, the Remastered Edition, GTA 5, Battlefield 5, 1, PUBG, COD Warzone. Yeah, so you know, just work perfectly fine. I've not faced any game lagging below 60 FPS at 1080p with this graphic card, and that includes Mafia 3, that includes Witcher 3, that also includes some other titles like the NFS Payback, NFS Heat, or the Forza 4, Ryzen 4. Yeah, works pretty well. I'm not going to be using benchmarks or showing you benchmarks because you must have already seen them, and if you haven't, you should check them out. There are much better YouTube channels who can do a proper analysis. This is just a layman video, so that you know, there are lots of people around me as well who want kind of like a layman approach to what kind of a PC build they should have, because this is one of the most popular price ranges. So I'm doing it for them. So let's just begin. First, let me get you to the B-roll shots, and then we'll talk about what we've chosen and why we've chosen. So now that we've seen the build, let's talk about what products did I use for this build and why I used them. And no, that's not mocking Apple. I will not. I really love their products. The new MacBook Air M1 is just great value. The new Mac Mini with the M1 chip, again. And I'm not an Apple hater or something like that. I just really like the Big Sur, macOS Big Sur wallpaper, and that's why I'm using it. Anyway, let's talk about what's important, which is the processor that I've used. So I've gone with a Ryzen 7 2700X. Yes, I've not gone with the 3rd gen. And the reasons, well, it's twofold. First of all, the price, which is very important. The Ryzen 5 3600X in the offline market right now, at the time of building this, not right now, was available for 26,000 rupees. This processor, this 8-core 16-thread processor, was available for 20,000. That's a 6-core 12-thread, so 2 fewer cores, 4 fewer threads. Of course, its single-core performance is better, and it'll be better at gaming, but I'm not a pro gamer. I'm a casual gamer. I like to play a lot, don't get me wrong, but I'm a casual gamer. Currently, I'm reminiscing over GTA 4. So I would be using a GTX 1650 Super, so I knew that I was not going for that hardcore gaming thing. Gaming was not an idea behind this build. Video editing, music production, XLVBA, that sort of stuff. And of course, casual gaming, which would be more than enough on this Ryzen 7 2700X. But on the 3600X, I would lose on the multi-core performance because it had 2 fewer cores and 4 fewer threads. Get it? The 6,000 rupee extra that you're going to pay is not going to be that much of a value addition. Plus, the second and a very important reason is the global chip shortage. You see, if I have to use the Ryzen 5 3600X, then I would go with a motherboard something like the X570, because then I would want an upgradability. To enhance and to be able to modify in the future, I would go for an X570 motherboard, which would cost more than double of this MSI M Pro M2 Max. This is a B450 motherboard which easily supports the 2700X and is overclocking capable for the 2700X. That would not be the case with something like a 3800X or a 5800X if I wanted to upgrade, had I used a Ryzen 5 3600X. So getting the point, in fact, this is my advice to anyone who's trying to build a PC right now. Go for the low to mid-tier gaming build, because right now the situation is not great. The global chip shortage means an RTX 2060 that was available for 28,000 rupees is now 40,000 rupees here in India. And we know the kind of performance gains the 30 series from Nvidia has made. So it's just wasteful to spend that much on the 20 series graphic cards. And let's not talk about how much the 3060 Ti was costing. So, you know, and even the Radeon Pro graphics, not Radeon Pro, the Radeon graphics was so expensive. A discrete GPU was really expensive. The 1650 Super, I got it for 18,000 rupees. Again, the 1650 Super is a great GPU. And all this was fitting in this budget. I didn't want to overspend, because what I think right now, and as I was saying, is my advice to you all, is the next generation of Ryzen CPUs are going to change the way we look at AMD. They are going to change the industry as a whole. Similar is the case with the Radeon graphics that are upcoming and Nvidia's 40 series graphics. They're rumored to be called that. You saw the jump that Nvidia made from 20 series to 30 series. Imagine the jump from 30 to 40. Even right now, the ray tracing support is not as great on the 30 series. And on the 20 series, it was just, it was just there as a gimmick feature rather than a real feature. So those two were very important reasons. And I got this MSI M Pro M2 Max for around 6,000 rupees. So, the pricing was just amazing. Now let's talk about the motherboard. There's one complaint that I have from the motherboard. Yes, I don't have any complaints from the processor whatsoever. I'm not going to be giving you benchmarks, because there are much better channels who have already done it and they would be doing it way better than I ever could. So you can check them out. Problem with this motherboard is that it's got only one fan header, which is strange, just one cabinet fan header. So I had to use one of those fan header hubs to get these many fans, because I just wanted the airflow to be perfect. I've got a GTX 1650 Super OC edition, so that's according to me, the GTX 1650 Super right now in this market where everything is not available because of the global semiconductor chip shortage, the 1650 Super is the best value for money chip of all things. The processors, GPUs, of all things, this is the best value for money because it gives me frames that I would want from a game. That rhymed. Anyway, it gives me frames and I love it because I'm a casual gamer. Even in PUBG, when I'm playing PUBG, it's just there's no lag. There's no lag in Call of Duty Warzone. There's no lag in Battlefield. I love it. It's a brilliant, brilliant GPU. For the case, I've gone with a Corsair Carbide Spec 05. It comes with 120mm 1200 RPM fan, which is red in color. It's not that great, but I used it because, hey, it's not going to be giving that much of an airflow because I use 3 extra cabinet fans. I've used Deepcool's RF 120. They're 1400 RPM fans, 120mm, and they work just fine, although there's no RGB control, and I wouldn't mind that because I've not even plugged in my RGB controls for Wraith Prism cooler that comes with the Ryzen 7 2700X. Another reason for why you should get this one. You would not get this one with the Ryzen 5 3600X. Okay, let's talk about the RAM. So I've got an XPG Gammix 8GB 3200 MHz memory, and another thing with this motherboard is that you have to enable XPG. You have to enable the full 3200 MHz in BIOS in order to get 3200 MHz because for stock you would get only 2666 MHz, and that too you have to place it in the first slot, not in the second slot. I think that was very basic and you would know that, but I still felt like mentioning because I didn't. Okay, so let's talk about the ports and the I/O situation with the motherboard. It's got 4 USB 3.0s, it's got 2 USB 2s, 1 USB 3.0 at the front and 1 USB 2.0 at the front because of the case. And that's about it. So I think the I/O is pretty great. For me, it's fine. Yeah, of course, it doesn't get USB-C, but then again, this is a low to mid-tier gaming / video editing build. This is not a high-end or mid to high-end build. For that, definitely stay tuned. Now, I think you all can hear the sound, but I don't really mind it because half the time I have my headphones on, and this is the corner room. I have my headphones on most of the times if I'm playing music production or video editing. So most of the times I have these headphones on, so I don't really mind it. But yes, the sound levels are not exactly silent, but again, not of concern to me. The headphones of choice here are these Skull Candy Crushers. I know all of you are already saying that these are bass heavy and how do I do video editing with these and how do I do music production with these? Well, I don't use them for video editing or music production. I use AirPods Pro. Those are my brother's, but I use them because he doesn't use them much. And yeah, and I sometimes use Samsung's wired headsets as well. They're pretty good as well. Anyways, I hope you like this video. I hope you like the info that you got. And this was my first build / tech related video. So if you have any suggestions, if you want me to cover something more, do let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Peace in our times. We really need it, people.